now let's talk about file naming and organization. So for this course, you're going to be using Google Drive to store all of your files and to organize yourself. So let's look at Google Drive. So when you go over to your email, you can see you're logged in. I'm looking at my second screen here. When you're logged in and into your MUM or MIU email address, you click on these row of dots here and you can select some different apps, and we're just going to go over to Drive. It'll open in a new tab, and right away we can see it's going to show us all of the files that we have currently, probably listed in the most recent opened order. So here's all the folders that we've created. Here's the names of the most recent documents I've been working on. So what I want you to do is, inside of this folder, you're just going to create, let's just assume that none of this stuff is here. For our purposes, let's create a new folder, and we're going to use the name Canem 260 Fall 2020, your full name. So that'll be the name of the folder, and obviously you'll write your full name out, or whatever you choose to go by. And within this folder, we're going to create a couple of subfolders. So we're just going to name this your full name assignment 1. And obviously you're going to use your full name here as well in the subfolders, because when I search for your work in Google Drive, what I need to see is not just assignment 1, assignment 2, assignment 3, because if everyone names their folders like that, it'll be very difficult for me to find whose work is whose. So I need to see your full name and then assignment 1, and then obviously within that, you're going to store all of your documents in here. And so you might, inside of assignment 1, for example, there's some like you might have a resources folder, or you might have a test exports folder. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm actually putting underscores between each of the words, each of the main block of words, because it actually helps keep it really organized and separate it out. And that's how computers typically use. Spaces are not very common in especially in like code language, so it's just helpful to keep it consistent. So I just use underscores because that's how computers read spaces typically. So yes, you'll have some different folders here. You'll have resources, test exports. You might have another folder called final exports. And you might actually create a document, and you might create a document that is sort of a list of links and tutorials and other types of things. Or if you're going to do a journal, you are going to do a journal, but if you want to do your journal digitally, this is one way to do it. So we could just, say, this is your full name and journal. And what I would encourage you to do, your full name, thank you, is start out with the date. So today's date is the 28th. And then just every time you make a new post, or you make a new, thank you very much, that's okay. Every time you make a new post, it's going to be dated, post-dated, so we can see and keep track of when you're making entries in your journal. So that about does it, except for one thing that I want to do is, since I just created a new full name assignment thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in, instead of test exports, final exports, let's do work in progress. And let's go into that folder, and we're actually just going to put our document that we're currently working on in that folder. I'm just going to literally drag it from my desktop over here, which you can't necessarily see what I'm doing, but I'm going to drag it in there in a second once my internet gives me a break. So you can see here's the video lessons I'm recording for you guys. All right, so let's go to TestGlyph Maya 3. You can see it's 30 megabytes. This is the file we're currently working on. It's a PSD file, which is editable in Photoshop only, which is a really useful thing. It's actually editable in other Adobe software, but not to the degree that a PSD is editable in Photoshop. And there we go. You can see it's uploading. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to put our documents in these folders. You can see there's all these subfolders here, and make sure your name is on every single subfolder. It's okay if you forget once in a while, but it would be really good to put your full name on every subfolder, and certainly on your files as well. Make sure to name your files the way that we talked about in the beginning, and that'll really help things stay organized. So that's it for this tutorial on organizing and using Google Drive. And one final thing, when you're using Google Drive, when you've uploaded your current document, make sure you share the main folder with me. So you can do this one of two ways. You can go down to the main folder and you can click on it. You can click on this little drop down and you just go down to share. And once this loads, you'll just put in my email. You can see it's currently, this is my email, pmoorheadjr@mum.edu. So make sure to place that in here when you're adding me to this group. So you're going to add me, you're going to add my email to this, and it gives you the option to make me the, let's see, I'll just, for example, do Amin. And obviously, I would like to be able to go into your stuff, and I don't want to mess with it, but at least give me a choice to view it, to see what you're working on currently. And you can even leave me a message, say, hey, Paul, or Professor, whatever you choose. I don't really care. Here is my assignment 1, work in progress. And you can just hit send. I'm not going to send this to Amin. So yeah, just make sure to share your work with us so that we can see what you're doing. That's it.